What's up everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be tuning this blue turd. Now, well, let's pop the hood. So this is a forward-facing 6466 stock block Evo. I've done a lot to it, almost everything under the moon possible, and today's the day we're going to go get tuned. Today I'm going to go over what you should do before you go and get tuned. First things first, I need you to find a tuner and I need you to stick with them. Find a tuner that's reputable, stick with that tuner. Do not tuner shop while you are staying with somebody. Find a tuner and stay with them. Second thing that I really want to go over, talk about your horsepower goals, what you want out of your car with the tuner. The tuner is going to tell you what you're gonna need to be able to reach that level. I want a 500 horsepower daily reliable stock block car. Tuner's gonna know exactly what to tell you to get. They've done it before. You can ask them questions about certain setups and other things like that, but they're gonna know the equation. They're gonna know if you want 500 horsepower, this is how you go for it. You want 600 horsepower, this is how you go for it. You want 700 horsepower, this is how you go for it. You want 300, hey, this is what you want. So talk with them. And the reason why I also say stay with one tuner is because if your tuner tells you to buy some FIC 2150 injectors and you go out and get some AUS like 1650s or something because they were on a deal, you're kind of basically messing with the tuner. What is the point of the tuner telling you what to buy if you don't even listen? There really isn't one, right? So listen to your tuner. Third thing you should do when it comes to getting ready for a tune, you're gonna wanna do a compression test. I'm gonna show you how to do that right now. Once you have removed your coils, remove your spark plugs. I have mine over here, set in their respective order so I can see what cylinders are doing what. So this would be the most left, this one would be the most right. So I can see what cylinder is doing what. I have these laid out in preparation. I can then send photos to the tuner and say, hey, this is what my spark plugs are doing. Just a heads up, blah, blah, blah. Tuner can have a better idea of what's going on. Also, because you're doing this compression test, solid time to change out your spark plugs. I usually do mine every oil change just because I am running a very small gap and I'm running a high amount of boost. It's also nice knowing that, hey, there's a clean, spark. These spark plugs are cheap enough. They're the coppers for the Evo 8. I use the NGK 5422. I gap them to 020, even with the R35 coil on plug setup. So I've always ran that gap. I haven't ran into any issues since. Keeps my motor happy, keeps the the burn good, has a good clean burn. So that's what I want to keep going as I continue to drive the car. It's not a Subaru. They're real easy to get to. Maybe 10 minutes to swap them out. It's not that big a deal, and that's including gapping them. So, and for gapping, personally, I like to use one of these guys, 020, and just to make my life easier, I got one of these guys from STM. This is a little spark plug gapper. Pretty cool little tool. You plug it in, bring it down, and then you twist it, slowly gapping your spark plugs that much closer together. Onward to compression. Let's see how healthy this motor is. Before we do check out the health of this motor, I went and disconnected all my fuel injectors. Obviously my spark plugs are disconnected, and because I'm now running the double pumper and it's on its own little thing, I disconnected it. So fuel pump won't be priming, fuel injectors won't be shooting, and spark won't be going on. It'll literally be just compression. You get one of these guys, you find the right threading, throw it into your car as such. So now that that's all hooked up, you just turn the car over, and I usually let it go about 10 times. The motor's still warm, so just going off that, your car is going to spend most of its life under operating temp. So that's honestly where I do my compression test. So let's do it.
Good, man, you're looking good.
Oh dude, nice. Last one. Last one. What you got, man? What you got? Evo God's guiding.
Oh man, you're gonna be so upset.
Bro, 150 across the board, man. Huge relief. You gotta do takes, man. It's weird. It's weird, man. Why are you making fun of me? This is why I'm camera shy. This is why I'm camera shy. This is why I'm camera shy. People make fun of me. It's weird. People that are like, nah, I'm your boy, I got you. They make fun of you. 150, 150, 150, 150. Really happy with the compression of the car. Compression tests are like pregnancy tests. It's terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying. So it's nice to know that all the numbers are really, really close. Generally, you want it to be no less than 10 to 15%. If 3 cylinders were 100 PSI, you generally wouldn't want the 4th one to be anything lower than 90. You don't want more than 10. If you want to go the extra little bit, you can probably hit, if all 3 were 100, you could probably do 85. It's probably not going to matter a whole lot, but that's now your weakest link. Compression is solid across the board. I'm really happy for that. So now we're going to be putting everything back together. I just threw in my spark plugs, gapped everything to 020 like I had spoken of. These guys are in. I'm going to be plugging back in my fuel injectors, plugging in my pump, and we're going to get to a boost leak test. So as far as a boost leak test goes, everything is connected. All 4 fuel injectors, the coils, and the fuel pump in the back. I want my car to be able to start when I put it all back together. This is my turbo, right? This is the forward section of it. I'm playing with in and out and up and down, side to side. I don't have, relatively any shaft play with the turbo. That's something you kind of want to make sure. If you have excessive shaft play, your turbo is going to go. That's just how it happens. That's how it be sometimes. But essentially, we're going to grab this guy. You measure the compressor inlet, outer diameter. Bam, so that's 4 inches. This is a 4-inch boost leak tester. Got this off of Amazon, believe it or not. Turbo boost leak testers. Just a 4 to a 3-inch coupler with one of these guys on it. I'm going to hook it up like so. So just like so. There's a little hookup right here. That's what that compressor is for. We're gonna add some air to it like you would a tire. And you just watch the gauge and make sure that you see, and then you spray soapy water everywhere. Soapy BLT water. And Alex. Hit this. There's one already. Mm-hmm. That's why I'm not on a MAF sensor.
I'm pretty sure all of them are leaking.
This is why you do a boost leak test.
Oh.
Always. You want to go get tuned? Do a boost leak test. You thought it was tight. Tight versus sealed. Very different things. While the compressor is going, this is why you do a boost leak test. Had I been on a MAF sensor, a mass airflow sensor, and I had these leaks, I wouldn't have been able to drive my car. That's why I enjoy speed density. If you get a leak, you blow off intercooler piping, you can still drive home. All those leaks could have been robbing me of power. Tuner is gonna tell you that day, come back when you fix all your leaks. You wanna have a one and done when you go and get tuned. That right there is bad. That's a bad sign. Nothing but a bad time. Bubbles are bad when you're doing these tests. Well, cool. So we hit 20 pounds. That's what the wastegate's at. It's not going to go any higher than that because of that leak. And that leak is pretty big. So all those pinholes, if you guys are able to see them. If not, you should go and turn on that 1080. But essentially all of those little pinholes on the side, which I've tried to previously fill, ended up pushing out this JB weld up top. I thought I grabbed the right JB weld, and this stuff was made for plastic. It's not made for metal. So I have to pull this stuff off, scuff the surface with some type of sandpaper, and then throw over the JB weld tonight. Everything else wasn't leaking, which is great. Onto the rear of the car. Exhaust leak test. Jack the car up. Run an extension cord. And find your vacuum. You want to find a really clean vacuum? I prefer to get new and make it specifically for exhaust leak test. You don't want to blow any metal shavings, any dirt, any stuff like that into your exhaust system. So the same concept applies. We are going to be turning this vacuum into a blower, blowing air into the exhaust system, and then we're going to spray water around and make sure there aren't any leaks. Let me show you how I do that. No leaks over there. I do want to spray around the O2 sensor. I just had this resonator installed by Alex. It's a good idea to make sure that there aren't any leaks because it is pre-O2 sensor. What about that guy? Get some soap. No soapy bubbles over there. Spray the downpipe. You want your car running in tip-top shape, you may have to get wet sometimes. So I'm not seeing any leaks. Oh, there we go. There's one right there. This is why we do this. This is a way of absolutely making sure that you don't have any leaks. This could throw off your O2 sensor. This throws everything off. It's pre-O2 sensor. I'm only running a wideband, but that leak is pre-O2. So if it's pre-O2, it's gonna read wrong, it's gonna run wrong, and then you're gonna tune wrong. And then say you go and fix it, because leaks are gonna get worse. They end up getting worse all the time. You fix it, your car runs different now, and you have to go back to the tuner. One less thing to worry about. Whew. All right, pretty wet under there. I ended up just swapping V-band clamps. Leak's gone. It's no longer pre-O2, it's post-O2. Just reorganized everything. V-bands can be pretty tricky when you're putting them back on. So we just had to realign them, set them, and put them on, and that was really it. The next thing we're gonna do is make sure that our fuel level or fuel pressure is good. Car runs, so let's go check fuel pressure. Car is all back down. I'll be putting the bumper back on shortly. Also, when you're releasing the jack stands, don't put your finger in between the weight. It can throb and it doesn't feel all that great. Solid. Evos, you want about 43 and a half. It's at 45 at the rail, at 40 at the fuel pressure regulator. That's fine. You set it to 43 and a half with the line off. You plug it back on, the PSI is gonna drop a little bit. That's why I like having gauges that work. So fuel pressure regulator is doing its job. The fuel rail gauge is doing its job. We have good fuel pressure. Fuel pressure is good. Boost leaks for the most part are good. I have to throw some JB up there. I'm not gonna replace my intake manifold over a couple minor holes. I could pull it off if I wasn't so lazy and then pay Alex to weld it, but there's already JB on it and it's a mess. Skunk 2 is offered to replace my manifold, but then I have to get it ported and welded again by STM, and I don't want to do that. So these little band-aids will work for now until I get a wild hair and I change my setup again. So it happens. I keep telling myself I won't, but then I do. It is bound to happen. Real simple, easy thing. I make sure to check my oil levels, like going up to a tune with low oil, and it's just something to check off. I usually make a list. I have a list at home. I have a list in a book. I go over this stuff. Nobody's perfect. People forget stuff. So I usually just check my oil and make sure that it's where I want it to be, which is full. So I already wiped it off. It's a little over a quart low, so good to know. I throw in some more oil, going about my day. I change more oil every 3,000 miles. If I'm in a 3,000 mile period of oil, I don't have to change it. If I'm over it, I'm gonna change it. So I'm probably gonna change it over the weekend or whenever I get an oil shipment in. So I use Schaefer's super synthetic stuff. Just make sure oil levels are fine. Schaefer's. I use 5W40, just a little low. I like the stuff, works really well. I haven't had any issues yet. Thank you, Schaefer's. I guess you could put it under check oil. Make sure this guy's got some coolant in there. Make sure go. Radiator's full. Radiator's full. Oil's good. Brake fluid is fine. My clutch is fine. It's got a couple thousand miles on it. There's only a few more things to go over and then we're ready to tune. And here on PBS, he's gonna add a little black, a little white, and do a gray paste. And we're gonna give this intake manifold a nice little cover. We're gonna give him a friend. That is perfect, baby.
Do you like that burp?
That's perfect. I'm totally throwing that on YouTube.
Wait, what are you throwing on YouTube?
And voila. Call me Bob Ross. This should hold. If it doesn't hold, then I have to get another thing of JB Weld, and I really don't want to have to do that, but tomorrow I'm going to do a boost leak test, make sure that that's all fine and dandy. I'm going to hit 20 pounds, see what it does, and go from there. Usually when you do a boost leak test, you want to hit the PSI you're going for. So if you're hitting for 20 pounds, you want to hit 20 pounds. If you're going for 25 pounds, you want to hit 25. If you're going for 13, you only want to hit 13, 15, whatever. A little more isn't going to kill it, but essentially what you want to go for is your target boost level for your boost leak test. That way you know how your car is going to react. You want to make sure your couplers aren't blowing out. You want to make sure your couplers aren't getting bigger. They will blow out. Everything looked fine when I did it. The only issue I ran into was the intake manifold on that label for the Skunk 2. So let's skip to tomorrow because it's freezing, it's cold. I want to have a couple beers. So the last thing you want to do before you go get tuned is check your battery and your alternator. You want to make sure that everything is running right, you've got the right amount of juice. You don't want to bring a car to a tuner and have it just be full of problems. So O'Reilly's and AutoZone, they do these tests for free. You just set up your cold cranking amps. They'll test your battery. Hey, it's a good battery. Cool, so we're gonna do a starting test, preparing for that. All you gotta do is start your car, and then it's gonna do an alternator test right after you start your car. Said it failed. There you go. Alternator passed, battery passed. Let's go get tuned. So we talked about finding a tuner, We talked about sticking with that tuner and talking with them, communicating, telling the tuner what you want as far as horsepower. You know, hey, listen to what they have to say. And I think that's something I kind of want to go on real fast. Communicate with them. Communicate with your tuner. If your tuner's not communicating with you, that's a problem. If you don't communicate with your tuner, that's a problem. If something is not going the way that you're wanting it to go, your tune isn't as great as it was, that's something you need to talk to them about. But this is where that list goes into play. This list keeps that from happening. If there's a leak, my car is going to react to it, and I fix it, and then my tune is still fine. Not, hey, I found a leak, I fixed it, and now my car is all over the place because I tuned with a leak. So listen to what your tuner says. If you tell them your horsepower goals and you talk with them and they say, hey, I suggest this, and they send you a list of what to get, and you go and get other stuff. You go and get other brands because it's cheaper, or you go and get other things because it was cheaper. While some of them do the same stuff, not all of them do. So your tuner that's been around the game and has been tuning for a very long time tells you to go with a specific brand. That's because they have the better experience with that brand. Just something to think about. If your tuner tells you to get something, or tells you to go red and you get black or green or whatever, kind of a slap in the face. So communicate with them. If money's an issue, tell them then, hey, I can't afford that ball bearing turbo. Is there a journal bearing turbo that I can get? I'm looking at this one. Is this something that'll work? Talk with them about it first. Don't just go out and go do it. Talk with them. Talk with them about it. Please and thank you. Tuner, talking, compression test, replacing and gapping your spark plugs, a boost leak test, an exhaust leak test, fuel pressure check to make sure that you have the correct fuel pressure going to your fuel rail and fuel pressure regulator. Check your oil or change it depending on how long it's been. You want the most out of your car, you want the most out of your tune. You're gonna be tuning, you're gonna be in the higher RPMs for a long period of time. You may wanna have some good oil up in there. Check your coolant levels. Don't wanna overheat. It's the whole point of, the cooling system. You need to have enough in there, and it needs to be able to cool the car. And then last but not least, you need to be able to check your battery, and you need to check your alternator voltages. Make sure that your battery is doing what it's supposed to be doing, your alternator is doing what it's supposed to be doing. Your car is gonna run that much better. This little list is just what I do. It's the least amount of stuff that I do. It's the minimum for me before going and getting a tune on a different setup, whether I change something or whatever. I want the most out of my car as a car enthusiast. I don't think as many people talk about it, or I don't think as many people focus on it as much as they should. Everyone talks about, I'm gonna get a car and I'm gonna go get tuned and I'm gonna have all this horsepower and blah, blah, blah. That's not always the case. That is not always the case. That's actually farther from the truth than you may think. You don't just go get a tune and then everything's honky-dory. There's things that you have to do ahead of time to make it easier for the tuner and make it easier for yourself. You're completely changing everything within an ECU. For the day-to-day driver, right, this is my daily car. I put a lot of money into this car. I want it to run properly. And the way for me to help it get it to a point where I want it running properly is me having the knowledge to know when I'm messing up or when something is off with the tune. And having that knowledge is gonna help you go a long way. Knowledge is power. If you're an Evo owner and you don't have a Tactrix cable, shame on you, you should go get one. If you're on a stock ECU, if you're on a standalone, cool. At least have a way to. I use a printer cable, I have a Tactrix at my disposal. Something you guys need to worry about, something you guys should think of. It's not all honky-dory. It's not, hey, I got an Evo and I'm all cool and all this and that. There's a lot of steps going into it to be able to have an Evo running for a very long period of time in a healthy manner. I hope you guys have enjoyed what you guys have seen so far. I hope it's been an informative, video. I hope that those who don't have any tuning experience or having their car getting tuned are that much more knowledgeable about going and getting tuned. It's scary, don't get me wrong, but it's not supposed to be just scary. It's supposed to be fun. You're supposed to be able to reap, the benefits of what you've done, what you've created, what you've changed. I hope the conversation's been well heard and well thought of. If there's anything I missed, please let me know, you guys. Let's talk about it in the comments section. Tell me if there's something that you guys do differently about going and getting tuned. What do you do to prep to go get tuned? Tell me what you guys think below. Like and subscribe if you guys want to see some more Evo content. Other than that, till next time.